Realize deeply that the present moment is all you have. Make the now the primary focus of your life. Eckhart Tolle. What's up, Internet? My name is Trident Lion, and welcome to this video. On this video I'm going to be joined by a guest named the Mindful Young Man. He's a cool, motivated young YouTuber seeking to help people achieve mindfulness to live a better life. If you enjoy this video, remember to hit the like button. So without further ado, I present to you the Mindful Young Man. Summary on the power of now. Okay, thanks, Trident Lion. And today, I'll be summarizing Eckhart Tolle's book, The Power of Now, a guide to spiritual enlightenment. First of all, it's important to note, as Eckhart Tolle states repeatedly throughout his book, be skeptical of this stuff, but not so skeptical that you never implement these practices in your life. All the information given is meant to be discovered for yourself. Nothing here is based on faith, and everything is based on actual experiential evidence that you can gain for yourself. Alright, so what exactly is enlightenment? Enlightenment is a realization of your true nature. It's a sudden realization that you are all of reality, and not just a separate self inside of reality. It's a breaking free from the ego. First, let's make something clear. It's not some mystical experience that's achievable only to Zen monks who spend their entire lives meditating. It's something that you or I could very possibly achieve with commitment to the practices in this book, and books similar to this one. Now, all this probably sounds far-fetched, but just remember to keep an open mind. So the whole book centers around a concept of ego identification, the ego being the physical self that we think we are. The voice inside our head that can't stop thinking and resisting so-called unpleasant situations in our life. Simply put, the ego doesn't exist. It's an entity created by our mind and has many tricky ways of perpetuating itself. Ego identification is simply that we've mistaken our constant stream of thought for who we are. We've identified with the ego, and doing so creates countless negative repercussions that manifest in many ways throughout our lives. So let's examine the workings of the ego. The ego feels constantly under threat of survival because it doesn't exist and fears being realized as non-existent. Therefore, anything that helps us realize the truth of who we really are is seen as a threat. The ego perceives the present moment as threatening because it itself is non-existent in the present moment. Let me explain. If we're completely present, the ego has no room to thrive. The ego is simply our identification with our constant stream of thinking. Therefore, when we become present and thinking stops, the ego ceases to exist. Therefore, in order to perpetuate itself when looking toward the present moment, the ego puts labels on our experience, such as, it's too cold, it's too hot, it's too windy. The mind does anything to be in constant thought, which in return means judging and thinking about the present moment instead of just experiencing it. And it does this at the expense of our well-being. For to stop judging and to live in the present moment without resistance creates lasting fulfillment. Another tactic the ego uses to perpetuate itself is by identifying with external things. Let me just give you some examples. The ego identifies with the following: material possessions, what kind of job you have, your social status, your level of education, your physical appearance, your abilities, your personal history, your beliefs, your political affiliation. Now, this is not an extensive list by any means. You can name all the ego identifications in a lifetime if you tried, but it's just to give you an idea of some of the ways the ego perpetuates itself. So the ego sees these things as part of itself. It also has a very hard time letting these things go, because it feels that a part of itself will cease to exist if these external things cease to exist, which perfectly explains why most people tend to fight back when their beliefs are challenged. Most of us have literally no chance of giving up our beliefs because the ego has identified with them, and to lose that belief would be to lose a part of ourselves, or so the ego thinks. Therefore, the ego is in perpetual fear, which surfaces as worry, depression, remorse, unhappiness, and all related negative emotions, which are all just egoic defense mechanisms. Therefore, when we break free of the ego, a deep, profound inner peace overtakes us, an inner peace that is constant, that doesn't depend on any external situations, as happiness does, a fulfillment that depends only on the level of presence within. So what exactly are the benefits of breaking free of the ego? First of all, we will cease to have problems in life. Sounds too good to be true, right? Let me explain. Problems are illusions created by the mind. At their core, they do not exist. They are merely non-existent situations created by the mind that are projected into the future. Let's do a quick thought experiment to understand this. Close your eyes and contemplate, what problem do I have at this very moment? Not even a second into the future, right now. What problem do I have right at this very instant? Now your mind will most likely come up with a ready-made answer. Make sure to question that thoroughly. Is that really a problem? I'm breathing, ain't I? I'm fortunate to have a precious human life to which I will make the most of. Therefore, no true problem exists in the now. And enlightenment helps us live this reality. Secondly, our fulfillment in life skyrockets. We'll live every single moment to the fullest. A deep inner peace will overtake us, and we'll feel a sense of wholeness. You know, when you buy something because you felt a gaping void that needed to be filled, but nothing quite seems to fill it. This is the solution. We feel whole because the ego doesn't need anything else to identify with. Now the common question arises that if I'm in a state of complete present moment awareness, how am I going to accomplish anything? I mean, doesn't this mean that I'll cease to have future goals? This seems impractical, right? Well, the reality is, you still plan for the future, make goals, learn from the past. The only difference is that you won't be living in the future or the past. You'll stop reliving past situations and hoping to change them, as well as worrying about possible future situations. Instead, you'll gain satisfaction from the now. Another benefit is that you stop having resistance to what is. You stop judging your experiences as good or bad, and therefore cease to suffer. Pain becomes almost non-existent. For example, enlightened beings don't step outside on a winter day and say, "Oh, it's cold outside. The weather is miserable." No, they just perceive it in a non-judgmental way. They walk outside, feel the physical sensations of the weather, and accept it as it is. They experience it without having any resistance to it. Now, these aren't the only benefits, but they are some of the biggest ones. So how exactly can we break free from the ego? There are dozens of different paths, but here are the three, as explained in The Power of Now. Live in complete presence, which is accomplished mostly through meditation and mindfulness. Cessation of thinking, or learning how to control our thoughts, and stop thinking when necessary. Surrendering, which I will talk about shortly. First of all, what do I mean by complete presence? Let's do another quick thought experiment to experience directly what presence is, or what life is without the intervening of thoughts. So in a moment, you're going to close your eyes and sit intently, waiting for the next thought to arise, like a cat waiting for a mouse to come out of its mouse hole. Alright? Now close your eyes with complete focus. Wait for the next thought to arise. Okay? What happened? Most of you will realize that a thought didn't come into your head for what seemed like quite a long time. This experience, in between thoughts, this is presence, this is you, this is your true nature. Did you also notice when no thoughts were present, your sense of self seemed to disappear? All self-consciousness was thrown out the window, and what was left was complete present moment awareness. Presence is when we reside in a state of no thought for extended periods of time, and then when a thought does arise, we don't see it as a bad thing. We just observe it without getting lost in it. We become the watcher of our mind rather than the one who lives in the mind. This is how we live in present. Stop our stream of thinking. Finally, what does it mean to surrender? Surrendering means to accept the present moment as it is, and not wishing it to be otherwise. Or in other words, to relinquish inner resistance. A great way to practice surrendering is while meditating. In Thich Nhat Hanh's book, The Miracle of Mindfulness, meditation is explained as the following of the breath and the letting go of everything else. Key part being letting go, which refers to the release of inner resistance. Not trying to control the mind and forcefully stop thoughts, but instead letting go of all control. This doesn't mean that you stop taking action in life. It just means that you're not letting external influences affect your internal well-being. Living with this level of known resistance allows us to gain fulfillment from everything we do. Most people feel this deep unhappiness with their life, and it motivates them to achieve great things. It's what drives them to accomplish their goals, but what they don't realize is that they will never be happy or fulfilled with this mindset. Instead, when we surrender to reality, we know that we already are whole. We already are complete, and what motivates us is our ever-receding amount of time left on this earth and our need to make a change in the world. But deep down we know that we already are fulfilled and content, and that success is just icing on the cake. Alright, I hope you all enjoyed this video. Thanks again Trident Lion for this collaboration. I know this is very deep and existential stuff here, but I truly think that this is very important work for one to do in their life. I believe that this kind of stuff is transformative to the way we view the world around us and the well-being of our lives. This kind of stuff is getting to the core of our emotional and well-being problems. It's not just trying to change some external factor in hopes of living a better life. No, it's getting down to the core problems in our lives and figuring out how to fix them so that our lives now rest on solid foundation. A foundation that derives fulfillment and happiness in life, not from what happens to us, but from the present moment, from within, from satisfaction in the here and the now. Because after all, the present moment is the only place to be happy. We all think of a better future just over the horizon, without realizing that a future will come in the form of a present moment, in which we will probably be dreaming of some other future. Therefore, if there would be one takeaway from this video, it would be that living fully in the here and the now is the key to a happy life. So I hope you all enjoyed the summary on Eckhart Tolle's book, The Power of Now, presented by the mindful young man. Be sure to check out his channel and support what he's doing on YouTube. Now if you're new to my channel, please hit the subscribe button, and until the next video, remember to always be learning, always be creating, and always be inspired. Step on the land, I've got your hand, and now we're way down, fade out, and gone. Was it your plan? Can I understand? I love the air you bring, everything. I'm in love with you.